welcome Samir to today's webinar. And this is the first webinar in the NITRA series. And we are very glad to have you here as our first speaker in this round of NITRA series in the month of July. And really thank you for taking on this opportunity. I would like to, I would like to introduce you. You know, you have a big, huge accomplishments around your belt, and a couple of them, I'll speak about them, and we'll all know them more as the webinar proceeds. So, Samir, he has been very technical in nature, primarily a technical background with an engineering from the erstwhile Regional Engineering College, Rourkela, now better known as National Information Technology, NIT Rourkela. And he underwent additional training in computers in Tata Management Center at Jamshedpur, and later on certified as disk duplication computer forensic specialist from USA. And he has also undergone forensic training at the National Center of Forensic Science, Orlando, Florida. He is the founder, CEO of Foundation Futuristic Technologies Private Limited, better known as forensicsguru.com. He is widely credited for evangelizing computer forensics in the Indian subcontinent and has personally trained thousands of law enforcement officers in the area. He has the distinction of starting the computer forensics industry in South Asia and setting up India's first computer forensics lab in the private sector. He's consulted by law enforcement agencies and the private sector on various technology-related investigative issues. Very interesting. Prior to entering the computer data investigation field, he had extensive computer-related experience in India and Europe. He has been investigating data and helping solve cases since 1988 and has worked closely with the various government agencies to assist in investigation cases involving digital evidence. He has also investigated cases from US and Malaysia. He has been a master trainer to a large number of senior security professionals from banks, insurance industry, police organization, public organization, public sectors, private sectors, you name it, and he has been there. He is a much sought after speaker and has been invited to speak at a number of colleges, universities, including FMS, IIT Delhi, Ford School of Management, ITS Ghaziabad, NIT Rourkela, MIT University, Computer Society of India. He has also been a regular instructor at the prestigious National Police Academy, Hyderabad, NICFS, National Institute of Criminology and Forensic Sciences, various state police training colleges, academies, CBI Academy, and he's a regular speaker on cybercrimes and computer forensics at multiple fora. He is also the founder chairman of the nonprofit Digital Investigators Association and has been specially invited to train groups of selected, experienced fraud investigation professionals in Malaysia. He has been a speaker to ISS World Dubai, Singapore, Washington, DC, and a regular speaker at NASSCOM and other conferences around the country. Also starred in a lot of television channels like Star Ananda, Headlines Today, Bloomberg, India TV, NDTV, and Aaj Tak. He also is the author of a book, Learning Network Forensics, published by Pact Publishers UK. 25 plus years of experience both in India and Europe, and he's a trustee of Prakash Deep Educational Trust, a not-for-profit body working towards the free education of street children. So that's who Samir is, and much more we'll discover as we go along. So over to you, Samir.
Thank you, Deepa. I think you need to cut the introduction down a bit because it's become a bit too long. Well, okay, can I get started? Can I share my screen?
Yes, please.
Good evening to all of you. And it's a great pleasure and a great honor to be back with your alma mater, and it's the same for me. Unfortunately, it doesn't get the same feel, because when you're there physically and being there virtually, there is a bit of a difference. But nevertheless, it's still that feeling, and it's great. And thank you very much. So what I'm going to be talking about is digital forensics. This is a bit of a a hutke field, a little different, and there how are things related to digital forensics in the new normal, and job opportunities related to this. Because all in all, for students and people out there today, jobs are really important. So I just thought that I will bring it to your attention. What are the kind of opportunities that there are out there, right? So I think we have a question and answer for area, and if you have questions, which I hope you have, and I'm sure you will have, you can post them there, and these questions will be raised towards the end of the session. So let's get started. नए ज़माने के नए कारनामे, new times breed new crimes. So in the good old days, we used to live in villages. We used to travel from point A to point B using bullock carts. So we had bullock carts. So when we had bullock carts, we had bullock cart thieves. These days, times have progressed, and now we have cars. And since we have cars, we have car thieves. So now that we have computers and the internet and everything is digital, we have digital crime, we have digital incidents, we have cyber crime, we have cyber frauds. So the changing face of crime is now no longer a knife or a gun or a direct threat to life. Today all this can be carried out by using a mouse. So you can actually rob a bank, and banks have lost millions of dollars. Right, in India itself, the Cosmos Bank was hit. Then in Bangladesh, the bank in Bangladesh was also robbed online. You can have people killed using the internet, where people can turn off pacemakers and things like that. So if you watch things like the crime files, and you watch CSI and any of those programs, it's really an eye opener. And most of the things that they talk about is practically possible. I mean, if you look at all the Mission Impossibles where they take control of the CCTVs and everything, that's a fact of life. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention, that everything is digital, and digital means that criminals have a longer arm. They can reach out from anywhere to anywhere, and that is something that we have to look at from a prevention, investigation, and detection perspective. So, like I emphasized, it's a digital world, and everything is digital. Cell phones are everywhere. As you can see, the cell phone has bridged the last mile in India. Today, a person doesn't have to be rich, a person doesn't have to be poor to own a cell phone. Just about everybody owns a cell phone. It is no longer something that one would consider as a luxury. There was a time when it used to cost, in India at least, 16 rupees 80 paisa per minute to receive a call and to make a call. So think about it. Receiving a call used to cost 16 rupees 80 paisa. And people would actually buy a cell phone, but rather than calling anybody, what they would do was give a missed call. So one missed call would be call me back on my landline. Two missed calls would be, oh, let's meet at Coffee Cafe Day. So that was the kind of thing that used to happen. So luckily the cost of making calls kept dropping down, and today we have a population of 1.3 billion people, 900 million cell phones, and the cost of a call, I mean, is practically free. So it's amazing. Cell phones are everywhere. In fact, they're really everywhere. So I teach these classes in different academies and things. So I have these they're various law enforcement guys, they're police and investigators and things like that. So we as a group, we start coming up with different uses of the cell phone. So people will come up with a use like, oh, a cell phone can be used for, say, as a GPS device. It is used for making videos. It is used for, reading books. It's used for, financial transactions, e-commerce and what have you. Everybody will come up with one idea or the other, or a third or a fourth, and so on and so forth. End of the day, in a number of cases, I found that nobody mentioned that cell phones are actually being used for making and receiving calls. It's just a reflection of the fact that cell phones have become such versatile things that you can actually run your life with your cell phone. And talking of your life, if you don't have your cell phone, think of how lost you feel. It's like somebody's cut off an arm or a leg. That is the level of importance people, ascribe to their cell phones. So these are some thoughts about the digital nature of the dunya that we are in. And because this is digital for us, this is digital for criminals as well. And there is a digital element in every crime or security element today. Keep that in mind, because that's what we are all going to talk about. So what is digital forensics? This is basically a process of preservation, identification, extraction, and documentation of computer evidence in a manner that is usable by a court of law. So that is the key. We will identify this. Okay, this is, a piece of digital evidence. Maybe it's a cell phone, maybe it's a USB stick, maybe it's an external hard drive, maybe it's, a digital watch or whatever. And we need to preserve it. We need to extract the data out of it. We need to do analysis on it, and then we need to document it so that we can show it in a court of law tomorrow. Now, there are two kinds of evidence that is available on any digital media. One is the evidence that is placed by a user herself or himself. For example, on a computer, you create a Word document or an Excel sheet. That is evidence created by you. Now, in a situation where you are using a cell phone and you you send a WhatsApp message, that is evidence again created by you. However, when we are actually doing all these activities, we log in, we log out, we send mails, we receive mails, we download movies and pictures, we get onto Facebook, we get onto Insta, we do a lot of stuff, we tweet, whatever activities we do with our digital devices. There are a lot of digital artifacts that are created by the operating system itself. Now, what does that mean? That means that even there are artifacts created by us, like the contacts and the WhatsApp messages which I was talking about, but there are also artifacts created by the operating system of the device that we are using, and it is keeping track of what we are doing. So there is always evidence that is being collected without the knowledge of us users. That information is not directly available. It may be hidden from view. So digital forensics is actually analyzing this kind of information, and we use this in civil, criminal, or admin cases. Yeah. So what is digital evidence? Basically, evidence that is digital in nature, electronic in nature, and this is basically information and data that is stored on, received, or transmitted by an electronic device. Okay. So this can be acquired when electronic devices are seized and secured for examination. These are some examples. There can be hell of a lot of these devices, phones, faxes, servers, USB sticks, all sorts of things. There are a lot of these, these personal organizers, things like these, these Apple watches, whatever. There's lots of stuff. So earlier, the traditional sources of evidence was things like, desktop, laptop, servers, CD, DVDs, floppy disks, backup devices. But things have changed. You have now things like, people carry around these GPS devices. You have these Garmins. You have in-vehicle entertainment systems. There's a lot of evidence on that. You have multifunction printers. You have all the CCTVs that are all out there. You have DVRs. There's a lot of stuff on the cloud. I mean, a lot of you guys use Google Docs, right? You use things like that. That's all out there on the cloud. People do their accounting on the cloud these days. So physically, there might be a lot less data down, at on-prem, on your computers where you are, compared to what may be up there on the cloud. Then there are, all sorts of things like Google Assistant, there is Alexa, there is all sorts of stuff. And all of this can be sources of evidence. Just giving you a bit of an overview on that. So, things like, we all have heard of Alexa, but the people have, moved it to the next level where they've even, fitted it in bikes. So you have Alexa with a bike. So, you all heard of Jarvis, right? Jarvis is Tony Stark's assistant, virtual assistant. You know who Tony Stark is, right? Iron Man. So Iron Man is a really geeky guy, and he's built this artificial intelligence who is his assistant, and that that guy is called Jarvis. So for those guys who are into the Marvel universe, they'll probably relate to a thing like this. So then there are watches. In fact, watches, though they you have to charge a lot of watches, but some of them are now working on body heat and ambient light. So they use the thermoelectric effect, and you can keep track of your physical location, your heart rate, monitors. In fact, some of these watches can actually get an ECG for you. It'll check. You can have a ECG reading made, and you can see it on your smartphone. Excuse me. Yeah. So in fact, during the action by the U.S. forces in Iraq, they had a lot of U.S. Army personnel who were deployed on the ground in Iraq. So all these guys, they were supposed to keep radio silence, their mobile phones weren't permitted, and things like that. But all of these guys, they had these, fitness bands and trackers and things like that. And they had these fitness bands, and they would go running around the, fields. They would have these exercises and things like that. And these fitness bands would post this data onto that fitness website. And based on that, an analysis could be made as to where these guys were deployed. So it was actually, a lot of data leakage that was happening, which people were not aware of, because all our devices talk to each other. They transmit data, they communicate, and that's where most of their power also comes from. But that is also where the data leakage also happens. So these are some of the things that I wanted to bring to your attention. Some examples of digital evidence: emails, of course, digital photographs. When you use your iPhone and you take a picture of a particular location, what happens? You take a picture, and it's a great memory. But what the iPhone does, and a lot of the Androids also do, is they embed within the metadata of the phone, of the picture, the make and model of the phone. So the make and model of the phone is actually stuffed inside the header of the picture. And in addition, if your GPS is on, the latitude and the longitude of where you were when you took the picture. So if, for example, you have a photo taken of Everest, and your GPS is on, I can tell you that, oh, you were on the the north side or the south side of Everest. There are two ways where two routes that you use to conquer Everest, and the south side is in the China side. I mean, the north side is on the China side, and the south side is on the Nepal side. So that's the thing. Okay. So then there are ATM transaction logs. There are word processing documents, message histories, what have you, a lot of other stuff. Okay, so there are different classifications. There are forensics related to disks, the network, what's going on up there, wireless forensics, all these Wi-Fi devices that are all over there, Bluetooth and stuff like that, IR, database forensics, malware forensics, mobile device forensics, GPS device forensics, email forensics, memory forensics. Everything's got something to do with forensics. So what are the things you can do? You can recover deleted files, recover hidden data. So suppose I'm a criminal, and I've got this secret, I'm a rich politician, I've got these secret land deals going on. So I don't want everybody to see them, you know. So I create a file and I call it secretlanddeals.xls. I put it on my desktop. So anybody passing by, if he looks at it, he knows I've got secret land deals and he knows that they are inside this. And if I'm not sitting on my in front of my computer, he double clicks it, he opens it, and all my secret land deals are out there. So as a smart guy, what will I do? I will rename the file. I'll call it windows.dll. Instead of secret smart land deals.xls, I call it windows.dll and I save it in the Windows system folder. And anytime I want to see it, I go there, I right click the file and say open with XLS, open with Excel, and it's there. Similarly, I can password protect the file. So a lot of things are there, you know. So these are the kind of things that we as forensic experts or examiners or, you know, cybercrime, you know, fighters, we tend to look at, explore, identify, crack open and see. We cannot, you know, mention who physically used the computer. If somebody logged in with my name and activity happened, I can only trace it to my name. But there are other branches of forensics that can identify who's the person who actually used it. You know, one can check DNA and one can check fingerprints and things like that and say, okay, this guy physically used the computer as well. Similarly, you know, if a photo is provided and somebody says, oh, can you tell me the age of the person in the photo? I'm sorry, can't be done. In fact, we don't even know how old the photo was. We may be able to, you know, work out from the metadata of the photo, the dates and the times and things like that. But to tell the age of the individual in the photo, that's more magic than, you know, forensics. Similarly, you know, absolute file dates. So file dates can be identified, the date of the file, the date it was created, the date it was modified, the date it was last accessed, even the date and time when it was deleted. But a lot of the other kind of dates, you know, they, oh, this person, you know, how many times did he log in and change the file, and did he change it or did he not change it on that day, things like that. That kind of granularity is not there, and it's not possible to complete an examination in a few minutes. But that said, we can still do a hell of a lot. So here's an example of the kind of things that happen. Like the government confirms a malware attack on a state-run nuclear power system. So this happened, you know, 22 nuclear power reactors are run by NPCIL, and there was a malware that was, you know, deployed against it, and it could have, you know, turned out pretty bad, but it was actually detected, though a little late, but action was taken and it was contained. Then, you know, websites keep getting hacked. The BJP website was hacked. The CBI website has been hacked in the past. All these kind of things keep happening, you know. Payment diversions happen, you know. A very large tobacco exporter, they got 2.35 crore diverted from their bank accounts to some other bank accounts. Then, you know, other, you know, export companies have been duped and things like that. So this kind of thing happens. It's not just the big guys, small guys also get hit by cybercrime all the time. So what is cybercrime? Criminal activities carried out by means of computers or the internet. Any illegal activity where computer or internet is either a tool or a target or both. Some examples: email bombing, spamming, spear phishing, digital bullying, job frauds, digital defamation, Ponzi, digital, I mean, it goes on and on. There's lots of stuff. So let's just show you some. I hope you can hear the sound.
No, sir. Unfortunately, we couldn't be able to hear the sound.
Okay, so wish you had mentioned.
Okay, we have subtitles.
Sorry?
We have subtitles.
Yes, you have subtitles. Just a second. Okay, can you see my screen now? Vanita?
Yes, yes, sir. Yeah.
And please confirm if you can hear the sound.
नमस्कार, मैं हूं अनूप सोनी। क्या आपको पता है कि बस एक गलत क्लिक से डिजिटल डाकू आपके फोन में घुस सकते हैं? तो कौन है ये चोर और कहां है ये लोग? पुलिस के मुताबिक 90% स्कैम कॉल्स जामताड़ा में ट्रेस की गई। आज हम करेंगे इस पूरे झोल का खोल। झारखंड के जिले में लोग बैठे बैठे लाखों कमा रहे हैं। ये ना तो आईआईटी के पास आउट हैं, ना आईआईएम्स। इनफैक्ट इन्होंने तो स्कूल भी पास नहीं किया। यहाँ एक ही धंधा चलता है, फिशिंग यानी स्कैमिंग।
सर मैं स्वाति बोल रही हूँ आपके कई बैंक से।
कभी अकाउंट वेरिफिकेशन तो कभी आधार कार्ड लिंक कराने के बहाने ये लोग आपसे आपकी बैंक डिटेल्स ऐसे निकाल लेते हैं कि आपको इसकी भनक भी नहीं लगेगी।
ये केस यहाँ का है ही नहीं। साइबर कोर्ट में एप्लीकेशन डालो।
साइबर सेल के बिना जामताड़ा की पुलिस की नींद भी हराम है। 24 से भी ज्यादा शहरों की स्पेशल टीम्स ने जब जामताड़ा पर छापा मारा तो जांच में पता चला कि इन चोरों का जाल कितना फैल चुका है। पुलिस के मुताबिक एक गैंग आराम से 50 लाख रुपए कमा लेता है। और करते क्या है ये इसका? मन मर्जी लफंगेबाजी, आराम की जिंदगी, बेझिझक ऑनलाइन शॉपिंग। ये सब शुरू होता है आपके फोन नंबर से। याद कीजिए पिछले 24 घंटों में आपने अपना फोन नंबर कहां छोड़ा है। वॉचमैन के रजिस्टर से लेकर ऑनलाइन रजिस्ट्रेशन तक ये सारे नंबर हासिल कर सकते हैं। फोन करके ये आपको लॉटरी या फिर फ्री गाड़ी का लालच देते हैं। आप
So this is an example of that, and you know, there are a lot of scams like that. We have a, what we call a lottery scam. So let's just show you this.
अरे यार भाई, ये किसकी कॉल आ गई? हेलो, हाँ जी, कौन? हेलो सर, मैं अमेज़न का सेल्स एग्जीक्यूटिव बात कर रहा हूँ। आप हमारे लकी विनर चूज करे गए हैं। आपको एक आईफोन X दिया जा रहा है।
बेटा, मन में लड्डू फूटा।
ओह अच्छा, आज तो पक्का लड्डू बांटूंगा। जी सर, आप अपना एड्रेस नोट करवा दीजिए मुझे और एक 10,000 रुपए का सिक्योरिटी डिपॉजिट करा दीजिए। आपको 10 दिन में आपका मोबाइल मिल जाएगा। ये नंबर मेरा 24/7 ऑन रहता है। कोई भी परेशानी हो तो आप मुझे कॉल कर सकते हैं। जी जी, शुक्रिया।
गुड मॉर्निंग, गुड मॉर्निंग, गुड मॉर्निंग, गुड मॉर्निंग।
अरे 10 दिन हो गए पर डिलीवरी नहीं हुई फोन की। कॉल करके देखता हूँ।
The number you are trying to reach is currently unavailable.
So there is phishing, there is wishing. Phishing is basically collecting your data. They send you an email, they request you for information, and once they've stolen your information, they will take it. So these are just small videos related to that, just from an education perspective, just to pique your interest. I'm sure you all you're all aware of these. I'll just show you quickly a thing about identity theft, and then I'll talk about one case.
What is identity theft? Identity theft affects millions of people each year around the world. Crafty fraudsters can steal identities in a number of ways. Some fraudsters commit identity theft by stealing physical information. They do so by dumpster diving, stealing mail, or taking discarded devices like computers, printers, or phones that have not had their hard drives wiped. Sometimes they rely on social engineering, which is when the fraudster manipulates or tricks a victim into giving up information. A common form of this is phishing, where a fraudster impersonates a trusted individual or entity and asks the victim for sensitive info. Identities can also be stolen through high-tech means like malware or data breaches, where hackers target large organizations and steal the information of multitudes of employees or customers. Information stolen through data breaches is often sold on illegal trading websites.
So this is just one.
With many different avenues to grab your information.
So the way it works is that we need to investigate these kind of activities, and these are the kind of things that happen all the time, every day, with I would say hundreds or thousands of people every day across the world. it is extremely widespread. So, there are different steps in an investigation. There's acquisition, where you actually physically or remotely obtain possession of the computer or the external physical devices that have been involved in this kind of a crime. Then, the identification of what the data that can be recovered and electronically retrieved, both the data created by the user and the data created by the system, which gives us an indication of what's going on. We can carry out an evaluation of the data, and then ultimately, it is presented in a manner that is understood by the layman. So that's the basic idea. A lot of chain of custody is there. We maintain the chain of custody to ensure that no data is lost and things like that. And we carry out a digital fingerprint of all the data that is seized, which is basically things like, we fingerprint it using a hash value. So there is, different hashes. There is the MD5 hash, and there is the SHA hash, and there are many other hashes as well. So these are essentially used for ensuring that there is no contamination of the data. Whatever we are using is an exact copy of the original. So let's just quickly talk about your online identity. For me, what is my online identity? Say, I have a credit card, for example. So if I want to talk to the people, the credit card company, when I call them up, how will they verify that, I am who I claim I am? So they're going to, check, they're going to ask me, oh, what's your, say, card number? And then on the basis of that, they will ask, all right, what's your mother's maiden name? What's your date of birth? Or you might have a special question, which protects your account, like, say, what's your pet's, what is the name of your pet, and things like that. There are a lot of those safety questions and things like that. So let me just show you one particular case like this. So you all heard of this song by the Police, every breath you take, every move you make, every bond you break, every step you take, I'll be watching you. I'll be watching you. So this was actually a super hit song in the good old days when we were in college. And this is basically, if you look at it, all about stalking, Cyber stalking is a very good example of this. And let's just do this. Say hi to, does everybody know who this is? Absolutely, this is Priyanka Chopra, Piggy Chops, the heroine of Quantico, and a very famous personality. And if you look at it, all these famous screen personalities are always in the spotlight of the public. Everybody is, looking at them, everybody's following them, everybody's, oh, this guy, followed her romance with Nick Jonas, her marriage, everything she does, every type of activity she does, every place she goes, every dress she wears, everything she buys, everything is in the public eye. So for them, carrying out an attack against them to compromise their details is extremely easy. So let's just take a look at it. Let's see what information is available related to Priyanka. So all we got to do is Google Priyanka, and we find out that, oh, this is her father's name, Ashok Chopra, mother's name, Madhu Chopra, siblings name so-and-so, and so on and so forth. So suppose we want to find out what's her mother's maiden name. So we simply say, okay, we now know the mother's name, which is Madhu Chopra. And again, Google is a good friend. So we, go to Google, search for that, and get more information about Madhu Chopra. So here we look at it, and it says Madhu was born in the family of Madhu Jyotsna Akhori. So now the mother's maiden name, which is Akhori, and that gives you a very important clue related to getting the information related to Priyanka Chopra. Similarly, you can get her date of birth, you can get her telephone number, all sorts of information, and even related to her dog. She has Priyanka's world revolves around her dog Diana. So the pooch is called Diana. So she is she's extremely fond of her dog called Diana, and automatically, this kind of information, when it becomes public knowledge, it is again, quite dangerous, because a lot of information is up there, out there in the web. Now, investigations follow something called Locard's exchange principle, which is that anyone or anything entering a crime scene takes something of the scene with them and leaves something behind when they depart. So, like suppose you walk in to a place where there is a murder, right? So when you walk in and you look at the dead body and then you walk back out, something has happened. You've gone and left your fingerprint at the scene of the crime. And similarly, the mud that was present there has stuck to the sole of your boot, just as an example. So similarly, when it comes to, computers, every time you interact with a computer, a network, or any digital device, you leave some trace there and some other information comes back with you. So this kind of a thing, relates to Locard's exchange principle. In fact, Locard was what is known as the role model for a character called Sherlock Holmes, whom I'm sure you all heard of. In fact, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle knew Edmund Locard, and he, modeled Sherlock Holmes along on this guy. Edmund Locard was actually a government examiner for the French Surete, and after the First World War, he was asked to examine all the dead bodies and identify all the French soldiers who should be court-martialed and those who should be given a medal. The guys, who were to be court-martialed were the ones who had been shot in the back because they were running away from the war. And the guys who should be, given a medal were the guys who were shot from the front. So that was, very simple, but it was an example of scientific thinking, which was not very common in that time. So to do all these kind of investigations, we use a lot of very cool digital tools, So, we have tools that are used for, telephone call analysis. So like when I make a call to you and you make a call to me, a log is created at the service provider. So if I'm using Airtel to make a call, so on the Airtel servers, there's a record that I spoke to you, how long I spoke to you, what was the was it a call, was it a SMS, was it internet usage, whatever, all that is there. So you can actually do a high level of data mining, So the data science guys, here's an opportunity for you where you can actually carry out some really, cool stuff where you can do analysis of the different kinds of things that are out there and arrive at what are the, activities of a person. Like for COVID investigation these days, police forces are using call data analysis to identify, do contact tracing. Contact tracing is basically identifying, who are the people who were in contact with a COVID infected person. So that those people can be quarantined. So this is an example. There are different features, how it works and stuff like that. There are a lot of things. You do cell site analysis. You can, carry out digital evidence seizure. There are some nice fancy hardware tools for high-speed disk duplication. And there are tools which allow you to identify, misnamed files like windows.dll and, quickly grab them. There are tools that you use for cracking passwords. You do live data extraction. You can grab mobile phones, get the deleted messages, their chats, their pictures on the phone and things like that, WhatsApp data and stuff. You can analyze social media. What are the activities happening on the internet? The stuff that is being posted, the trends that are happening, the activities that people are doing online, all that can be done. When the attack happened in Mumbai, the 26/11 attacks in Mumbai, the guys who came in the trawler, they were all carrying GPSs, not phones, because they'd never come to Mumbai before from Karachi. And the terrorists, they carried GPSs. So, a lot of analysis is done using that kind of stuff. And with GPSs, you can track a person's movement, where was he? Where did he start from? Where did he go? And all that stuff. It's superb. Similarly, you can crack passwords and things like that. Then you have video enhancement. Then you have things like, dark images are made lighter. Number plates at an angle can be fixed and read. people's heights can be measured. A lot of cases have been solved using this. So this is a good example. Similarly, you can authenticate videos and images and things like that. So there's a lot of stuff in video and image forensics. There's a lot of, artificial intelligence involved. There's a lot of machine learning involved. All this kind of stuff is really being used extensively in forensics. So let's talk about prospects. What are the the opportunities that could exist? There are a lot of things that people do in this area. A lot of people are hiring, but NASSCOM came up with a statement that India needs 1 million cybersecurity professionals by 2020. It's 2020 now. Where are these 1 million? We don't have them. In fact, there's an acute shortage of cybersecurity professionals. And this is an area where there is a huge demand and supply gap. The demand is there is a major supply gap. And it's not just India, it's throughout the world, there is a huge demand. And the guys who have got it, there's a huge premium for them. The guys who don't have the skills, they're not needed, quite really. Similarly, there was this recent research which shows that by 2025, there's going to be, in India alone, a $35 billion market for cybersecurity. Cybersecurity products and services and solutions. So if there are those of you out there who want to, develop products, there are those of you who want to work on products, there are those of you who want to, who are not into programming, who are not into coding, who want to actually develop skills in this area to actually provide services, work for companies like, Ernst & Young and Deloitte and IBM and Accenture and all of these guys. They're extensively, EXL, all of these guys are looking for people who have these kind of skill sets. So this is a market that is growing. This is a market like, policing is a market that does not go down when times are tough. The police still need to take action. When times are good, the police still need to take action, because crime increases and keeps increasing, and in things like calamities like what we have here, things like COVID, for example. Initially we were stymied, but then what happened was that, using things like, telecom data analysis for tracking COVID infected people has been a great thing. Similarly, when there are natural disasters, you can use things like cell site analyzers to identify people trapped in, disaster areas and things like that. This is technology through and through. We are all technologists, we are all engineers. We need to, think differently. We need to figure out how to use technology for different areas. So India needs, cyber forensic experts. India is actually the third most vulnerable to cyber crimes. In fact, 34% Indians are online. And I think this is a small figure that we are talking about. Actually, lately, I would say that the number of Indians online is very big. I would say, 60% are perhaps online. There are 1.7 lakh plus cyber crimes reported. Again, it shows a cyber crime every 10 minutes. But again, I'm sure they're underreported. So these are something, we need to look at. Let's give you, this is my last slide practically, some tips to break into the job market. The first thing is you need to differentiate yourself. When I say differentiate yourself, everybody around you, as a student, you will find that everybody around you is got the same subjects, the same skills that you have. You're going to be slightly better, slightly worse. You'll be good in one, you'll be in a subject, you'll be bad in another. So what happens is that there is a sort of a homogeneity within a college, within an area, and within all the engineering institutes around the country. Of course, there are institute rankings and things like that, but you really need to differentiate yourself. What sets you apart? You need to know things that no one else knows, So today, if you know things which everybody needs, and say, you have a particular set of skills and you have an additional skill that no one else has, that immediately, puts you into the the top bracket of the people they want to select. So you need to mix and match stuff. Like I gave you this example of analytics and forensics and machine learning and stuff like that. Data sciences people are talking about. I mean, a simple thing like Tableau, it takes what, a few hours to learn how to use Tableau for, visualization. But if you actually utilize that visualization in a manner that is useful to a specific organization, for example, say you're going for an interview with, say, Ernst & Young, and you take open source data that is available and you create a few visualizations and you put it as part of your resume, think about what's going to happen. Will they pick you, or will they pick somebody else who's got, a 20-page resume, who's got, all sorts of things written on it? You are showing and telling. Others are just telling. Humans are visual. That is why, if you see in my presentation, I have a lot of videos, I have a lot of pictures and things like that, because as they keep saying, pictures are worth 1,000 words, 1,000 words. So you need to also, think along those lines. Think on how you can actually move this to the next level in a more systematic and a better way. Now you need to take up internships that teach you things. You need to look for places where you learn. And let me tell you, I have worked for some of the biggest companies. I worked for the Tatas, I worked for small entrepreneurs, and I've started my own business. So I have worked in India, I worked in England, I worked in a lot of places. I have a lot of experience. The most learning you will ever do will be with a small organization, with an entrepreneurial organization. It is always better to be a big wheel in a small, or a big fish in a small pond, than a small fish in a huge ocean. Okay, you will never get noticed, you will never learn anything, you will just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again repetitiously, and your growth at this level will only come by learning. So you must look at, when you take up an internship, don't look at the money, don't look at the prestige, look at how much it's going to, push you, where it's going to take you. So, it's important. Don't do it just for the money. And of course, the kind of stuff like digital forensics, for example, the kind of things and areas that you work in, try and do something for the country. Try and do something that benefits the nation as a whole. Like when we work, we say, we're working on solutions for a safer planet. Our objective is to make the world a safer place. We feel very satisfied, when we help recover kidnapped children. We feel very happy when, we can do things like, reduce crime, recover, money stolen from banks, help arrest terrorists and prevent an incident that could have happened, and things like that. So all these things are things you should consider. So, in the end, I'd like to say there are but two powers in the world, the sword and the mind. In the long run, the sword is always beaten by the mind. That is Napoleon Bonaparte. I wish I had said that, but Napoleon got ahead before me. So if you guys have questions, here I am. At the bottom, there's a link for questions you want to post. If I'm not able to answer them, these will go into a Google form and I will get back to you with the answers later. Okay. All right.
Okay, sir. Wonderful. Wonderful session, Samir, sir. Thank you so much. So moving on to the Q&A session, I would like to read few questions I received from students. The very first question is from Medha. How to protect our data?
Medha, I would say that the data that you protect, you need to first classify the data. In fact, this is also something that you can, Google online, but you need to classify your data. You can categorize it into, data that is general, like say, you got some recipes which you downloaded from the internet. Are they crucial? No. I mean, would you be unhappy if you lost them? Yes, but you could perhaps reconstruct them. At the other end, you have data like your bank details, for example, your passwords and things like that. So that is crucial data. You don't want to lose it. You don't want to, anybody else to get it. So you have to classify your data first. Then on the basis of that, you can use different methods and ways. So there are, things like if you, depending on what your data resides on, you may need to physically protect that. You may need to encrypt it. You may need to, put in firewalls and things like that. So specific, if you have any specific questions related to specific kind of data, post it in the link I gave you, and we'll get back to you with a specific answer to that.
Okay. The second question is from Suchendra. Sir, can you please speak on scope of data science jobs in post-COVID India?
Could you repeat the question, please?
So, the second question is from Suchendra. Sir, can you please speak on scope of data science jobs in post-COVID India?
I mentioned data science when I was talking about it. There is definitely going to be data science jobs post-COVID, pre-COVID. Even now, there are data science jobs out there. The key thing is that you need to not generalize. When you're talking data science, data science is a very nice, sexy term which everybody is, says, okay, we should all be, doing data science. There are great jobs out there and this and that. You need to understand how to apply data science. You need to understand how that data science is actually, providing value. So if you can marry your data science skills with something that provides value to any organization or any end user segment, there is no stopping you. So this is something that you need to consider. Data science as data science is not good enough.
Okay, perfect. This one is from Hari. Hi, Mr. Samir. Is it possible to automate the digital evidence diagnosis? If not, what are the barriers in the way to automate this particular process?
That's actually a very good question, Hari. We would love it to be automated, and perhaps going forward, using AI and ML and all, it will happen. But currently the situation is that you can automate it to a particular extent. The process of imaging is automated. The process of processing and classification of the different artifacts is automated. However, the analysis and interpretation of that, like, okay, this guy went to this website and he did this, that is something that you can do. But why did he do it? What are the sequence of events that he did which brought him to this point? What is the activity he was planning based on this, and which are the bank accounts he's got on his target that he's going to hit, and things like that. The detective work, the the 007, the digital 007 aspect that you have to bring into yourself from our in our area, that is something that is yet to be automated. But if you can do it, it would be great. If you're a AI ML guy, I mean, it would be awesome. It's a great startup.
Okay, so this particular question is from Narendra. Sir, what are the prerequisites for getting trained in this field? I am keenly interested in this. Do you provide training?
Yes, Narendra, the prerequisites are that you need to have basic computer knowledge. You need to be able to use a computer. I mean, we do provide training. We've done a lot of training programs. I mean, Deloitte is a regular customer of ours. We've trained a lot of Deloitte employees. We've done training for IBM, for Accenture, for Emphasis, for EXL, for a lot of people. But, and of course, police forces, they're our largest customer. We've provided lots of training programs for police forces across the country and for some outside the country. The key thing, when you attend a training program is the mindset. If you have basic computer knowledge and you have a desire to learn, that is a great starting point for, getting into digital forensics. And the more effort you put in, the more you learn, the better you are. No stopping.
Okay, so this last question is from Samudri. What type of students can take this field? For example, mechanical engineering student, can she or he look forward to it?
I'm a mechanical engineer.
Yeah.
So, in fact, in 84, when I joined REC Rourkela, there was no computer science. And the first time I saw a computer, the computer was a VAX 11780, which was a so-called supercomputer in those days. And we had to, queue up 1 week in advance. We would write down in a register and say, sir, we need, 15 minutes with the computer. We would have to write the code. Then there were punch cards and things like that. It was horrible. it was like, you know, a time when computers were unwieldy, useless. And then the PC revolution came and things like that. And we actually began to use them, and we began to feel, oh, you know, this is a really great thing. So any branch, as long as you know how to use a computer and an investigative mindset, you should be what we call a khurafati dimag, you know. You should have that kind of, in your mind, you should have that desire to unravel mysteries, to solve things, to be a 007, you know. So that's what it is.
So this question is, I didn't know this question. So kindly guide me the internship opportunities with your institute.
So we have, you know, opportunities that could be in AI, ML, they could be in, you know, data science related, you know, visualizations and things like that and stuff like that. We also have, you know, internships in, say, product development kind of stuff. So those are the kind of things, those are the kind of areas that we have internships in. Normally we prefer internships of longer periods. So we have people, you know, from the Delhi Technical University, and you know, people from Annamalai and different places, you know, come to us from Bangalore and all. And we have a college nearby called Manav Rachna. So we've got that. We've had people from VIT and things like that.
Wonderful, sir. I hope we reached end of our today's session. So thank you so much, Samir sir, for joining with us. Thanks for your time, that too in Monday evening. Thank you so much, sir. So emails with e-certificates will be distributed to our participants shortly. With a single click, students can generate their e-certificates if they have 80% attendance. So thank you so much, Samir sir. So
You're welcome.
you can see Samir sir's contact details here. Okay. So with your permission, I would like to end today's session. Okay. Thank you.
That's fine. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir. Thank you.